The time changes screwed everything up. Paul, how was your 25-hour Sunday?
It was pretty good. I went to Bacon Fest yesterday in Easton, Pennsylvania, which is a beautiful
Bacon,
little city.
bacon
Yeah,
fat. This is.
I had some of the best food I've ever had over there.
I'm gonna
Just
guess
all
it was
street
bacon
food.
related.
All of it was bacon related. I had like a kielbasa that was wrapped in bacon.
Wow. Whoa.
A lot of this is about desecrating the animal, like wrapping parts of the animal with other parts of the animal.
This is like
Um,
putting eggs on your chicken, right?
yep, I had some pork belly on a stick. Awesome barbecued pork belly.
Hmm.
Yep,
It's only
bacon,
9:30, but it
bacon
feels like
jalapeno poppers.
whoa, whoa.
Yep,
No,
and we had
that's
the bacon Bloody Mary, which is
uh,
fantastic. Hmm.
here's a fun fact for you, Paul. I've never had a Bloody Mary.
I I kind of like Bloody Marys. I'm not like a. It's not like a normal cocktail, right? It's not
Yeah.
like you're having a martini. It's not something you would see James Bond drinking,
Hmm.
But it's often served like with brunch or breakfast, which I
Right.
think is a little weird. But I like it. There's kind of a nice spiciness to it.
Yeah, I think it's mostly because I do most of my drinking late in the evening and drowning my
Yes, yeah.
sorrows.
Right, right. As God intended. Yes.
And so that's maybe why I've not ventured down that
Yeah,
the
that's worth
breakfast
trying
alcohol.
sometime.
Yeah. Well, good. Sounds like you made the most of your time travel Sunday, which typically I woke up
How about
Sunday
you, Brad?
morning
You,
and I was
not
like,
so good. Not so good for you.
well, yeah, I just woke up and then I was like, wow, why is it so early? I should stay in bed, but I'm not. Whatever. And
Hmm.
my 5-year-old doesn't believe in time change, and didn't really
Yeah,
impact.
yeah. Yeah. Neither do our pets.
Yeah.
Also, we had you might have seen the pictures of the flooding.
Oh yes, I did see that.
Um, two weird facts to that. Obviously, this year we've had tons of flooding, and it deluged that night, the night before. So, I mean, it was like one of the heaviest rains I've ever seen, and I didn't really think much about it. We went out and walked the dog, and we got down there. There were cones set up and everything. You couldn't, no one could cross the bridge, obviously. And it was the worst we've had yet this year, as far as like the amount of it. But the next day, it was just back down to the river. Like the river's high, but that entire floodplain on both sides of it were clearing like it. And today I went down and there were trucks. I'll post some pictures of this, but
Yeah.
cleanup's going to be kind of a weird freaking nightmare. But the other thing is, my daughter doesn't have school today because the school is under 2 feet of water.
Oh.
Yeah, so that never
Oh.
happened before, or it was. I mean, maybe that was Sunday. I don't know if it is today, but
Still a lot of water.
yeah, it's crazy. I guess I think of the way I drive by the school. Her school's humongous. It's like a community college size. It's like one of those
Hmm.
Friday Night Lights type schools. It's huge with a giant football team. I drive by it at it's kind of uphill from the road where I go by it. But if you go past it, there's a road that's above it. Obviously, that's uphill from that. So I guess the school itself is kind of it's downhill from stuff, I guess, and some things clogged up, and the whole thing is filled up with water. So you can look it up. It's like a Mayes High School. If anyone's interested, you can see pictures of this. The front of the school is in water.
That's well, for maybe for trick or treat, she should have gone as a sailor.
Yeah, yeah. The pirate. I don't know.
Yeah. So Paul, you know what? I ordered this this week. Well, actually, I didn't technically
Watch,
order it. But
Apple Watch.
I,
Did
yeah.
you order the $700 Apple Watch?
No.
Okay.
In fact, actually,
What-
so to be
Mhm.
completely transparent, because every time somebody, I don't know, whatever, people are jerks on the internet. I did some work with a friend and helped him build a website and do some other stuff, and he wanted to pay me, which is nice because that's people do a service and then you get paid for that.
Yeah. What a thought.
Yeah. The challenge here is that he's actually in Europe, and I don't want to deal with the 1099, so he's actually buying an Apple Watch on Apple.com and shipping it to me. Very
Oh.
nicely of him.
Well, that's really nice.
Yes, but it is not the $700 one. Don't get me wrong, I would like that model, but my serious challenge with this thing is, I wear this thing to cut the grass. I wear it to the gym. It's not so much a piece of jewelry to me as more of a
So
toy tracking device. And
explain this to me because I'm not an Apple Watch expert. What is the difference between the one you did get and the one that you're describing that costs $700.
Besides $400, $300 for $400,
Yep. So what does that money buy you?
a glossy exterior.
Are you serious? That's it? It's not
Nope.
like LTE or something?
Nope. Well, yes, it is
What's
LTE.
the finish? So I'm sorry. Is it like it's stainless steel?
It's stainless steel versus aluminum. That's what you pay.
Oh, that's silly. That's silly.
Oh, it is. But they look nice.
I'm sure they do.
But I can't. That's too much money on my wrist. It's swinging around and getting grass clippings in it, and in the dirt, and
Sure.
in the.
By the way,
in the pool.
Since you brought this up, I will mention that I had to explain to my wife about my MacBook Air purchase, because this exceeds the spousal approval level or whatever, requires a second signature kind of thing. And I, too, have a friend who is paying me for work that I'm doing, and I'm relying on that to come in at some point so I can pay for this thing that I can't afford. You know what I mean? Buddy.
If we haven't told you guys yet, beneaththesurface.com, you can go ahead.
Yeah, please. It behooves all of us if Brad's book sells well.
Yep. So we've got, Apple's fourth quarter is looking pretty solid, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We've all bought a bunch of the stuff. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. So we'll see. So that thing should arrive, I don't know, whenever they order it, maybe this week, maybe next week, whatever. It's exact same color as one I have. It's
newer.
Yeah. It's Monday.
So
folks.
will it have LTE or not? Is that?
I don't know which one he's ordering. I kind of hope it does, but
that's funny.
I'm not too. If it has LTE, I'm not going to pay the Verizon $10 a month for it.
Yeah, that's true. It's so weird. You can't just. Well, it's Verizon.
Yes, right. I mean, the answer is they realize
How else
they can
would
make
they do
money.
it?
Yeah. I mean, they could just let me tap into my own data bucket that I'm already paying for.
They wouldn't even notice anything if you did it too. That's
why they make you pay, because there's no way you would ever use $10 worth of data on a watch.
It's passive income, Brad. It's it's how Verizon's going to retire.
You're not wrong. That's about all.
It's strange. I mean, but yeah.
Yep. And so, Paul, one thing here to hit on: Android without Google. What?
So this is actually one of two things. If you don't mind, I'd like to hit on today, because both of these things were kind of bigger than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
Somebody had written in last week, and I asked Paul that thing I do every Friday about this topic, and I kind of wrestled with it. Like I started taking notes on Friday. I wrote something on Saturday that wasn't quite complete, and then finally on Sunday I was like, maybe I'll throw this out there and see what people think about this. Unfortunately, this kind of topic brings extremists out of the woodwork, right? And so the notion here is, it's weird. I don't mean to take this down a pro-Microsoft path, but you kind of, for whatever reason, you're not going to buy an iPhone. You either hate Apple, can't afford the devices, whatever it might be. But you look at Android and you're like, I don't trust Google maybe, or I want to limit my exposure to Google services. I don't want to be tracked everywhere I go. How does that look? And I take a really middle of the road approach to this stuff. I explicitly seek out certain Google apps and services, Google Photos, Google Maps. I think on Android, the Google Play Store is a necessity. It's the baseline. And some others, but whatever. But I also, on the other hand, appreciate there are people out here who are a little more extreme in their views. I know in our audience in particular, there are a lot of people who are pro-Microsoft and are still kind of wrestling with the mobile platform collapse and what's the best way to go. And Microsoft does offer all these things you can slide into place, like the launcher, the keyboard, the web browser, the assistant. There's a whole thing you can do there, and it's interesting to people, and it should be. It is interesting. And if you're in, kind of immersed in the Microsoft world on the desktop, like I am, and you are, and a lot of the readers are, naturally you think about this stuff and you kind of want to look at it. So I don't mean this to be, and I don't want it to be, and it won't be for me, replace Google with Microsoft. That will be part of it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like what I just described is semi-unique to Microsoft, in that no other company offers all of those things, right? I don't, and I'm not going to write about, and I'm not interested in replacing the ROM on the thing and using it like a Lineage OS or some crazy. This is not Bizarro land. The Amiga's not coming back. I think Android has value, and I still personally prefer it overall to iOS. Although you can go back and forth on, obviously both have great points for them. The point isn't to eliminate Android, right? And so I got a lot of feedback on it, and I'm kind of collating it. I've continued my note taking. There are some obvious things to write in this series about, replacing those parts of the system that you can replace, minimizing tracking as much. What would be the impact of using an Android phone if you didn't sign into a Google account, right? I suspect Google will still be able to track your phone, but they won't be able to tie it to you. Although, actually, Google's so freaking smart at this point, I'm sure they could tie it to me. Phone just came online at Paul's address in Emmaus. I wonder if it's Paul. Who cares? Let's assume it's Paul. I don't know. So anyway, I'm going to go down this rabbit hole. It's going to take a long time. But again, there's a lot of extremism here. There are the people like, you people are crazy. Google's never hurt me. I love having access to all this stuff. No, I know it's insane. But on the flip side, there's the other insane, which is like, I don't care. I just don't trust them. I will never use anything that Google makes. And it's like, you are biting your nose to spite your face. And what this reminds me of is the Windows 10s thing, where people, for some reason, will just in lockstep fall into this trap and be like, I just want to do the Microsoft thing. And Microsoft has this list of 5 reasons why Windows 10s is better, every one of which is theoretical and not proven by any fact. And the one fact about Windows 10s that I always said was it doesn't run Windows applications. I'm sorry, but the other stuff that you think you're getting is theoretical. The one thing you're not getting is very real, and it makes that platform useless. And to me, just ignoring Google you're hurting yourself. It's a mistake. Limiting your exposure to Google, I understand. But, you use, I don't know, who knows? You maybe use Apple Maps for all I know. But even on an iPhone, some people do, obviously. I mean, even on an iPhone, I explicitly install certain Google apps, and Google Maps would be the first one.
Yep.
Google Photos would be the second one, right? I mean, for me personally, I just derive great value from these things. I'm going to drive to Boston on Thursday, I can assure you. Google Maps will be how I get there. And it's the best. It's just the best one. It just is. Here in the United States. I know in certain places that may not be true. Anyway, it's a big topic. I'm sorry to babble, but I kind of woke up this morning and it's like there were 13 comments on a thing, and then I refreshed it and there were like 69, and it was like,
oh jeez.
Like, here we go.
You done?
Because they're coming out. They're coming out of the woodwork. They are. It's not like, I mean, there are reasonable things in there. Obviously, people who are like, here's what I do, and a lot of it's very reasonable. But with a topic like this, you're going to attract the nuts, and what are you going to do? That wasn't my point, but yeah. Some guy told me this article was clickbait.
Well, you're a clickbait.
I don't think he understands the definition of clickbait. I didn't write a headline that wasn't solved by the body of the work. I didn't get you there under false pretenses. I'm trying to help people here. It's not it's the opposite clickbait. So it's gonna be a fun week.
Yes, it will. Speaking of fun week, so I had a funeral this weekend, which kind of put me together with a bunch of family, including my oldest brother, who actually I see quite often, but I don't know whatever reason this brought it up. We're sitting there at a table just kind of after all the stuff. And he goes, hey, I got a question for you. He goes, I was looking at buying a laptop for his wife. And I was like, oh, great. This is, I can help you out here. And he goes, yeah, what is 10, what's that thing called? He said 10S.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he's like, I saw it.
Did you say S stands for shit show?
And I was like, well, where'd you see it? And he's like, well, we were looking at like a Surface laptop, one of the older ones maybe, because it's like she doesn't need the newest stuff. And he's like, is that a chip with 10S? Well, I didn't even. And then he's like, the new one doesn't. And he's like, what is it? And so I explained to him, and he's like, oh, that's dumb. I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of.
I like when normal people are confronted by things that we debate, and their reaction, to this thing that it's new to them for the first time.
Yeah.
There's a moment. Well, Windows RT was like this. I'm editing your book, and this notion of a version of Windows that cannot run Windows applications was so popular they did it twice.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yep. And so I just thought it was humorous that he was sitting there looking at a Surface laptop and a laptop 2, comparing them to see which one's worth getting, and that's what he was asking. And then he's like, what's this 10S?
That's something you can quickly get rid of, is what it
yes.
is. And honestly, I think that first gen laptop is a great choice. It's a beautiful machine.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I told him. I was like, just get a first gen. I mean, it's going to be a glorified web browsing machine, some light document editing, and
Yep.
what else?
It'd be great. It's a beautiful screen, beautiful keyboard, beautiful trackpad.
And you can get them for a good price if you can find them.
Yeah. Yep.
If you can find them, being the key. You got anything else, Mr. Throd?
So there is one.
Uh-oh. I was going to say.
Well, there's one thing. No,
Yeah.
it's good. It's good news. It's this little guy.
Oh, ooh.
Right?
Ooh.
So
Looks like an Apple TV.
Yeah, right. It's a NUC, right? The new Intel NUC. Now this one, this is very interesting to me on a number of levels. 2 years ago I built a NUC. I used it throughout the production of the book that I wrote, and for screenshots and everything. And when they announced these in August, I think it was, I was like, oh boy, it might be time to do another one of these things. And I've always loved the notion of these small form factor PCs. There's just something about these things that is wonderful. And this particular generation, it's a U-series chip like before. So it's the same stuff you see in laptops, except that it isn't, because this one isn't a 15-watt version of the chip, which is what you do see in laptops, except the MacBook Air, which is a piece of crap that I just spent $1,600 on. This one is a 28-watt version, right? Now that requires additional heat dissipation, fan, et cetera. And you see that there's more, vents and things going on. It's a bigger heat sink, bigger fan. But it also means that this thing can run full speed and run at higher speeds than typical U-series chips. So instead of like a 1.6, gigahertz or whatever it might be, this is like I think it's 2.6 bursts past 4, some in the 4 gigabyte range, 4 gigahertz range, whatever. And it's fantastic. And actually, just to I did some early tests. So previously, the best score I'd ever seen on that Tears of Steel 4K to 1080p conversion, you remember the one I had you do for the Surface Go, was a gaming PC with dual graphics, which actually you now have. Did this test in 31 minutes. It was the fastest I've ever seen by far. This one did it in 42 minutes, which is the fastest for a non-gaming PC by far. I mean, to give you an idea, like a typical quad-core laptop will do this in an hour to an hour and 5 or 6 minutes, right? So like MateBook X Pro, ThinkPad X1 Yoga, Surface Book 2, all perform this test in about an hour. So this one, you can see the additional power that you get from 28 watts is 40, what did I say? 42 minutes, right? So that's great. Interestingly, too, I spent a bunch of time over the weekend working on my device reviews. I have a bunch of device reviews I'm behind on. So I've been running this test on various laptops. I've been running the battery life tests on various laptops. The ThinkPad 1 Extreme, which is the 15-inch ThinkPad, the first 15-inch X1, did this test in 33 minutes and 48 seconds, so almost 34 minutes. Wow. That's only 3 minutes long better. Yeah. 4 minutes, 3 minutes worse than that dual graphics. And when I say dual graphics, I'm talking GeForce GTX 1080 times 2, 16 gigs of RAM, which I'm surprised it didn't have 32, but a 4.2 gigahertz i7 K-series processor. The ThinkPad X1 Extreme has an H series processor, which I think stands for high performance. So it's better than U series. It does have 32 gigabytes of RAM. It does have dedicated graphics. It's GTX 1050 Ti. Obviously a single card in a laptop, but seriously, like 33 minutes and 48 seconds on a laptop? Yikes. I don't think it's going to be a long time before I test anything that beats that. And that's incredible. The computer I'm using right now, because I'm about to switch to the NUC, did this test also in about 42 minutes. Dedicated graphics, 16, that one actually it says T-Series graphics, which is kind of crazy. But anyway, I just found that to be very interesting. So people were interested in what the performance was in this thing. And I got to say, that's pretty spectacular. And look at this goofy little guy. It's teeny. Like you said,
it's a nice little.
It's an Apple TV.
Yeah, it's a nice little box. Like if you need a home theater PC, although you might limited on some of the software you're running these days, but
well, you could get a cheaper one for that too. That's the thing. Like this is like a legit good PC. Like this is something I could use every single day. It'd be great. But you don't have to. This is like this is probably without the RAM and the storage is probably $500 ish. I mean,
That's not
you could
bad.
probably spend, yeah, but you could probably spend close to the 350 and just get a normal, Quad Series U, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
even they have low end things, Celeron, whatever. But anyway, I'm just starting to go through these tests, and that one just kind of blew me away. It's really nice. It's a good score.
Well, good. I'm happy you are happy, Paul.
Thank you.
Because
Thank you. Brett.
yeah. So there
So
we
what's
go.
the rest of your day like? You're kind of out for the duration, aren't you?
Yeah, there's some still lingering funeral stuff, so that's why we're doing the podcast 90 minutes early, but because of the time
Yeah.
change, it almost feels like 30 minutes early. But
Right.
got that stuff going on, and then that should mostly take care of today, and then tomorrow's back to relative normal, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nobody listening to this or watching this will really care too much, but I'm driving to Boston on Thursday. I think I mentioned that, but we'll do this early, so we will just appear normally. It won't impact anybody.
Potentially, I may not be able to do it.
Oh, I'm
Thursday.
sorry. That's right. I forgot.
Thanks
You're right.
for remembering a conversation from earlier today, Paul.
It was like 20 minutes ago.
I know it really wasn't that long. Nothing.
Okay, so apologies. Actually, maybe we won't be around Thursday, but Friday I'll be just.
Yeah,
it'll be normal.
I got to
That's
see. We're just looking at another school for my kid. It's nothing like
Yeah.
super secret here, but my wife scheduled these tours, and
no, it's fine. Normally, I'm sure when you looked at it, I'm sure you said just make sure you do it before 11 on whatever day if you can, and
Yep.
she did, and it was fine. And then I'm randomly just not going to be here, so it's my fault.
Yet again, you are the wrench in the spokes of my life. Par for the course.
We all have a role to play. I believe in tradition.
All right, folks. So that wraps it up for today. We will be back tomorrow, and have yourselves a wonderful Monday, and we'll catch you later.